Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts, and we've got a power-packed episode. In fact, every vehicle is going to have somewhere around 700 brake horsepower and above. And we'll start right off with 707 brake horsepower. That is the 6.2-liter Hemi V8 for the Hellcat. That's in the Challenger and the Charger and the upcoming Grand Cherokee. Now, here's the trick. They've had a little bit of issues as far as keeping up with orders. They didn't think the demand was going to be this great. Challenger and Charger itself so far for the year has sold somewhere around 80,000 units. And 4.5% of those have been Hellcats, and they were not expecting this. In fact, the group is now working on, and that is Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, is working on possibly doubling the production of the Hellcat just to try to keep up with demand, especially now that they're going to have a third weapon in the lineup. So this is good news, at least for the Chrysler Corporation. This thing has really been a sales charger. This is the brand new Hellcat engine from the folks over at Fiat Chrysler Automobiles. Another vehicle with massive amounts of horsepower, and this was the last generation of the GT500 for the folks over at Ford Motor Company and the Mustang Group. Now, this particular vehicle had a 5.2-liter supercharged V8 that made 642 brake horsepower. Now, the trick is, we're looking now in the crystal ball as a lot of folks are really starting the rumor mill about what the next generation GT500 will get. Now that we know that the flat plane crank 5-liter normally aspirated V8 in the GT350 is going to make just a touch under 530 brake horsepower, what is the new GT500? And what is going to be propelling that particular machine? There's a lot of outlets that are pointing towards the 3.5-liter EcoBoost turbocharged V6, the same one that's going to be going in the brand new Ford GT. Now, the Ford GT was on display at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, and there was some outlets that were talking with the Ford Motor Company. They're still boasting that this thing's going to make 600 brake horsepower plus, and now that's got a lot of folks pointing that possibly the GT500 may get the same 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6. Now, the trick is when it comes to Mustang folk, they're a tight-knit bunch, and they really love big, massive V8s. So, will this be a good idea for the Ford Motor Company to go in this direction? Obviously, less weight on the nose, the new independent rear suspension, and supposedly they're already talking about 700 brake horsepower coming out of this machine. This thing's going to be a barn burner, a real screamer, so it'll be interesting to see what they have up their sleeve, but I'm assuming they'll probably go the V8 route, but stranger things have happened. Next up on the list, the brand new Lamborghini LP 750-4 Superveloce. Now, we've shown this vehicle off in the past. Well, the folks over at Lamborghini are now claiming that this vehicle, the Superveloce, is going to get a convertible version. It was actually confirmed at the Goodwood Festival of Speed that there is going to be a Spyder version of this. Now, it's still going to get the same 6.5-liter, normally aspirated V12, making 740 brake horsepower and 509 pounds-feet of torque, and all that power is going to be shifted to all four wheels. But again, a little bit of open-top motoring in a high-performance track day automobile. Nothing that goes wrong when it comes to that particular situation. So, guarantee they're going to sell out of these units. Talking about somewhere between 400, 500 units only going to be built for the world. So, it's going to be a rare beast to boot. Another interesting situation is we look into the crystal ball, the next Bugatti Veyron. Now, obviously, the Veyron's going to get a new name, but we're going to stick with the Veyron name, at least when we talk about this machine right now. Now, apparently, the folks over at Bugatti are really trying to kick the record book right in the rear end when they build this new machine. Now, apparently, the 8-liter quad turbocharged W16 is going to remain in the next generation Veyron. And they're talking about with some work as far as direct injection, lightening up some of the internals to get it spin a little bit quicker, and some induction work on the machine. They're planning on this thing to be making well over over 1,300 brake horsepower, getting doggone close to 1,400 brake horsepower. But there's a lot of outlets pointing towards the fact that this vehicle is possibly going to be a hybrid vehicle as well, with an electric engine back in behind, kicking in at least another 100 brake horsepower. Now, the folks over at Bugatti are really going the big yards with this machine. Carbon monocoque, they really want to lighten up this machine and really make it a real performer. In fact, a lot of the numbers that we're already hearing, which were numbers that were just hard to believe, 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds and a top speed of 268 miles an hour. That's the current generation Bugatti Veyron. The next one, they want 0 to 60 numbers coming in somewhere around 2.3 seconds with a top speed of 286 miles an hour. Yeah, they want to crush that top speed record, especially some fly-by-night group who's going to build only a couple of cars, can't build something, claim it's a production car, and outrun it as far as outright top speed. Again, Bugatti is letting no stone unturned as far as making this thing the ultimate high-performance automobile, and not to mention a high amount of luxury, just like the Veyron that was before it. So exciting times. Maybe Geneva in 2016, you may get to see a concept. It may be another couple of years before we get one of those vehicles. I'm assuming Geneva will be the place for this vehicle to make its debut, but guaranteed we'll keep you in tune to what comes up on this particular machine. And last up on the list is an interesting little situation, and it involves these two chaps. The guy in the background is Christian Horner. If you're a Formula One fan, you know this guy. His team, Red Bull, Infinity Red Bull Racing, has dang near dominated the sport over the past several years. And he has really created somewhat of a dynasty as the head honcho of this team. But the guy in the foreground is Adrian Newey. Now, Adrian has built some of the most successful Grand Prix cars, winning the most championships and nothing like this. And not to mention, this fella is nothing for new technology. He still hand draws all the Grand Prix cars that he actually puts together. In an interesting little situation, Christian Horner, the guy in the background, was actually at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, sticking up for his group, Infinity Red Bull Racing. And what he actually let out was the fact that Adrian Newey kind of wanted to have somewhat of a legacy. Now, to me, the Red Bull Racing group is a legacy all its own, but apparently he wants a different legacy, maybe a road-going legacy. And apparently there's been talks inside of the group about building a supercar. A supercar, yes, for the road. Now, when it comes to the head of Red Bull, which is Dietrich Mattress, this guy has got tons of cash. So there's no doubt that this thing could be funded, and funded quite easily. Not to mention, this vehicle could be quite the performer, especially with their involvement with Infiniti and Nissan. You remember the Q50 En Rouge. That particular machine, which is still yet to actually show up on dealer showrooms and is still stuck in legal battles, mainly over the name, was a group venture in between the two groups. But apparently Red Bull wants to go higher up on the list than that. And like I said, Dietrich Mattress has got the kind of cash it would take to put this deal into action. Again, I think the Red Bull Racing team is a legacy all its own, so it's a little bit interesting to think that Adrian Newey wants somewhat of a road-going legacy. Maybe he just wants to go after McLaren and Ron Dennis, possibly. So, interesting times. We'll keep you in tune if anything really comes of this deal as well. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. If you want to jump on over to the Facebook page, links down in the show notes. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time and get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they come out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon.